this is Dominic, wedding DJ.
And this is Serena, wedding planner.
And together we are the Wedding Duo. We are here to talk all things weddings.
Planning a wedding can be stressful, but we are here to help.
So before you say, that's it, we're going to Vegas, don't go to Vegas.
Let's have some fun.
Join us as we answer your wedding questions and help navigate planning one of the biggest days of your life with the Wedding Duo.
Welcome back to the Wedding Duo podcast. We are here for, and I always get this wrong initially, episode 33, I think we're on today.
It's a good guess. We're in that. You're in the ballpark. For sure.
Well, that's good. I'm close at least. And today's topic, you guys, is going to sound silly at first. I think we're going to say it and you're going to be like, why the heck are they talking about that?
Fast forward. No, but just wait. Just you wait.
Just you wait.
Just you wait.
This may be one of our most informative episodes yet, because we're going to talk about some things that you may not really know you need to know. If that makes sense.
But it's another thing where you don't want to go nuts. We've had people that went a little nuts with this category, but you're like, okay, you can go overdoing it, but that's like with anything, I guess, right? So, but
before we get started, I want to thank everyone for following along on Instagram and TikTok. We've had some videos do really well lately, talking about your, music selections and timing. So that's been a lot of fun. We did a recent special on virtual music planning sessions with Dominic. And by the time this episode comes out, we'll have done quite a few of them. So if you're interested in a discounted session, you can always email us at hello@theweddingduo.co, not .com, .co. We have, of course, our virtual planning that's available on the website, but we're also offering these kind of special sessions where Dominic just sits down, does a Zoom call, talks about music. So it's been really great.
Yeah. And music is a big thing. Some people are like, I don't even know where to begin. Or maybe you have a couple songs, but at least we're into country or we're not. Or,
right.
So we can talk about your dancing music, your cocktail hour, your dinner music, and I can give suggestions on all that stuff. But it's really like, I can't find a song for me and dad or him and mom or introductions, or do we do the bridesmaids together and then the groomsmen? And then do we need our own song? All that stuff and the answer is whatever you want to do, really. So there's no right or wrong way to do any of it. But I've been doing this a long time. We've been doing this a long time. But every couple that I've worked with will bring something new to the table. And I've just been saving all these songs and notes all these years. And so I've got quite the arsenal of songs to suggest and the categories. And it's really fun. I enjoy kind of narrowing down and finding that perfect song for whatever that event is that we're trying to figure it out. And it's awesome.
It is awesome. So if you're interested in your own session, definitely let us know. Something else, some of y'all have been leaving reviews for us on the podcast platforms. That is so helpful and so amazing. We appreciate it so much. But I think it's time to dive in.
We haven't even said what it's about yet.
We haven't. It's like cliffhanger, right?
Prepare for the eye roll moment. Go.
Prepare to roll your eyes and be like, what the heck? We are going to talk about signage.
Signage.
Okay. I know this sounds like, okay, wah, wah, boring.
What is this? The signature drink named after your dog at the bar? Yes.
Partially. There are
but
those.
There's so much more.
There is so much more. And something that I discuss with my couples often is how helpful having appropriate signs or instructions for your guest at your event is for not only your guests, but also the flow of the whole thing, right?
Things you want to happen when, or things you don't want to have happen, or you don't want people somewhere or whatever. There's a lot of that stuff that you can't just have somebody posted up there giving that instruction all night. It doesn't work.
There isn't that person a lot of times, right? Like even I bring an assistant with me, and a lot of times I'll have her, help guiding people where to sit, answer questions, but we both can't be everywhere at once. So we use signage a lot of times to help with, like I said, the flow, instructions, all those pieces. So we're going to start with the ceremony. So what are the most frequent signs you see at the ceremony?
Well, usually there's a welcome sign somewhere where if there's a drop off or the main entrance, right? There's a welcome and that's usually a pretty good size sign. And it usually says your name, your date, the couple, and any just really kind of I don't know, maybe a hashtag if you have one, right?
Well, not usually at the ceremony, do they?
No, I mean the welcome, like not you're not even to the ceremony spot.
I got
you're just
you.
like,
outside.
Here's the main traffic comes through here from the parking lot or whatever, the big outside area. there's a sign, and there was this past weekend. It was really pretty. They were actually like raised letters.
I saw that video.
They were
Yeah,
gold and they were raised. It was really cool. I'd never seen that before. But they also put like there was some greenery up top or whatever. You can't put too much weight on it, but your florist could drop a little something on there. But it could be really kind of a cool like thing, especially for people that show up and they go, am I in the right spot?
right. Like,
is this the Johnson and Atkins wedding, or is there somewhere else, right?
Right. And that's something we can back up even a little bit further. If you went on your tour to your venue, okay, and you missed the turn.
Right. You know, I think it's coming up here on the right, and then zip, and you
went past it. Your guests are going to miss the turn. So sometimes at certain venues, I will recommend that we put a sign out front. You know, we've even done balloons or something, just if it's an identifying factor for them to see where they need to go to park.
And that doesn't even need to be anything too fancy. That can just be the for sale sign that the little plastic, or the little metal H that you stick in the ground.
For sale sign?
The one you would see in a for sale if a house was for sale. The really just basic ones.
Oh, that
has the little steel H. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay, I'm not suggesting for sale signs to my couples.
It doesn't say, it's not a for sale sign. I'm just saying it doesn't need to be some elaborate sign that you spend a lot of money on. Just ones, if there's a few tricky corners that people may miss. Some people go over the top with this too, and there's a sign every other corner. But just there's always that one corner that if you miss it, and it takes 20 minutes for you to redirect and get back to where you're going, that's going to set your ceremony back, which is going to set your whole event back. So that's kind of something to be helpful.
Yes.
It doesn't say for sale.
It doesn't say for sale. But what I recommend, what I was trying to get at, is like a sandwich board where you can write on it, and they come, you know, with a frame and they look really nice. So that can be super helpful in those types of situations.
And we have those. So check with your vendors. If you have a planner, he or she may have some of those to say, oh yeah, I got those. Or the venue may have them.
Yep.
Or they might say like, I didn't put a sign out there. They might say like, oh, we bring that sign out every week. We know that's a blind corner and people miss it. We have a sign that we will put out there the day of your wedding that maybe says Stephen and Chelsea or whatever.
Right. So if you're going to park, now there may need to be some instructions about that, right? And this is going to have to involve the end of the night as well. So if you are doing like a exit of some sort, like sparklers, right? A lot of our couples will hire some sort of like getaway car or special vehicle to be in those photos and then to take them to the hotel or whatever.
Or even if it's your own car that you can't have there initially, but at some point you're going to pull the car in there for the thing. Yeah.
To set it up. You want to think forward. Do I need to put like cones or signage to block off the area where we are going to be standing for the sparkler exit? Because as you can probably imagine, 10:30 at night rolls around and you're like, oh, those people need to move their cars. Then these drunk people have to find their keys and figure out whose car it is. It really is not conducive to a good flow, right?
Yeah. Especially if it's a little chilly out at that point. People are like, all your guests are standing outside while drunk uncle is somewhere fishing for his keys.
Yes. So again, thinking ahead, and your planner or your coordinator can help with this to, you know, prepare you for this. But it's just one of those little things that a couple, I can imagine, would go like, I would never have thought of that, right? But we've been there, we've done it, and that's why we're sharing it with you.
And we didn't think of it at first. This is just stuff that we're like, oh man, we should have done that. We should have done that. So you're benefiting from our bumbling through stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean, not recently. We've been doing this a long time, but that's how you learn everything, right? Pick your profession, like DIY or not DIY. OJT. That's the word. That's the
on the job training. Yeah, that's correct.
That's the acronym I was looking for. So once you get to the ceremony, the sign I see most often is, what does it say? It says, pick a seat, not a side. You're loved by
both the groom and the bride.
Yeah.
Right.
Very catchy. That one comes up a lot, but there's been some other clever ones.
But what is this? The purpose behind that is telling guests we don't have a bride side and a groom side. And that is a tradition that has really kind of gone out the window over the years, like having sides for your guests, which there's no right or wrong way to do it. I just see more likely than not couples say, yeah, people can sit wherever they want. Besides, obviously, like the first couple rows where you want to reserve those. So we'll fast forward to that. You are going to want to put signage on those rows unless you have ushers who are seating your guests, because people won't know that they can't sit in those spaces.
And it's not just to block the row that you want saved. It's so people can feel comfortable sitting in the second or the third row, because sometimes people will start at the back. That's people's tendency to sit at the back. And you don't want the first complete 3 rows empty. That does not look good for pictures.
Right.
So you want people to fill those seats in, but just not the ones you want reserved. So
exactly.
A sign will say, how many reserved? If you don't know, it's like, well, they're going to just start filing from the back. But as long as they say that one's reserved, I can go here.
Yep.
You know,
it gives them permission. They know where it's appropriate to sit.
I've done it so often where there's people in the back. I'm like, hi, would you mind
moving forward,
scooting forward? And the photographers always give me a thank you, because I'm like, yeah, I don't want the doors to open, the bride to walk in and be like, oh my God, where is everybody? That is absolutely not the first thing I want my bride to think when she sees the ceremony site. I want her to be like, oh my God, everybody's here. And I don't want you to look back at the pictures and say,
why didn't they sit in the front?
Empty chairs. Yeah. Oh, that drives me crazy. You may have seen, may not be something you think of, but go back and look at some pictures and you'll be like, oh my God, he's right. Like, there's a lot of empty seats up front. And I don't want that. I mean, sometimes there's standing room only, but sometimes there's not.
Yeah. Depends on how much space you have.
So anyway, reserved seating signs are beneficial in a couple ways. Yeah.
So another sign at the ceremony that people often have and is helpful, unplugged. So you want to let your guests know that you would like no photos taken, don't have your phone out during the ceremony. Now, I will say this sign is often ignored. So there's something that you might want to do on top of that, and that is have your officiant announce that you're requesting no photos be taken, no videos be taken, that you have professionals there to do that.
Or your DJ. I make that announcement.
You do.
All the time.
Yeah. If the couple requests it, we can do it. But
plus, I can't, this is the thing I don't like. They say, oh, well, the officiant's going to walk up there, make the announcement. Then he's going to walk back. Then he's going to walk, he or she is going to walk back. I go, that is, and again, I'm not trying to be critical, but that's really clunky. Let me make that announcement. And then we can just start from the beginning. Right. And they can just go into it, because it's really, I don't know. Sometimes they say, start the song, stop the song. He'll make an announcement. Then start the song again. I go, no, what? No, no. That's no, I don't like it.
No, I
that's just
agree
my
with
opinion. I'm like, let me just take that off your hands. I'll make the cell phone announcement and then you can start. Anyway, that's a side note.
Yeah, no, but it's helpful to know, like, from our perspective, what things actually work. And like in this case, people just ignore that sign. I don't know if they don't see it or they don't read it all the way through, but it tends to just not be followed correctly. So it's helpful to have that extra step to get that point across. So something that you may want to look at, and this kind of has to do with signage, is what is the flow of your event? Meaning, where is your ceremony taking place? Then where does everybody go for a cocktail hour, for example? And then where does everybody go for the reception? Do you need some type of signage directing people to the proper area? Because as we mentioned before, it really isn't possible unless you've hired staff to have people standing there telling guests where to go, or they will miss them. You know, they won't get all of them.
Or you have the ceremony, because there's one that we're at all the time. You walk down the path, chapel's to the left, the reception hall's to the right. Everybody goes to the reception. And sometimes the wedding party's in there and they don't want to be seen, or the bride doesn't want to be seen yet, or they're taking pictures. And here come all the guests going right in there.
Yes,
and you're like,
because they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know that the first phase is the ceremony, which is at the chapel, which is that away.
Right.
So a simple sign that just says ceremony, arrow, you know?
Exactly. And again, this goes back to my sandwich boards that I use quite often. That's exactly what we do. We use the chalk pens, we write ceremony with the arrow pointing, and then everybody sees it. They walk the right way and they go through the right door. So
I don't write on those. My handwriting is not pretty.
No, we don't have you do that. That's okay. I don't do it actually either. Mona's much better at it than I am.
You got to know the right person for that. What does that say? Ceremony. Okay,
yes,
that's
right.
What it says.
That's where we want to go. So again, this applies, initially when you're going to the ceremony. It can apply after the ceremony when you're going to cocktail hour or whatever space you're trying to get people to. A simple sign can help.
I did a video not long ago where everything was like really dialed in, the signs, the font. I mean, of course, and people are like, well, yeah, of course you do that. I go, yeah, but not everybody has it all dialed in like that. The front sign, the programs, the menu,
the same
it was just
font,
all really cool. So you can really, if this is your thing, if you're like, ooh, I love this idea, right? Yeah, like pick a font that works. Have a monogram, like with maybe your
initials,
a big border, your initials, your date, whatever it is. You can even put it on your. I know I'm a little bit outside of our topic here, but it can be on your website. It can be on your invitations. It can be on the door when you get there, and you can have a monogram on the wall.
Yes.
Oh my God, you can tie it all together.
Right.
It really can be fantastic.
Think of it like your wedding brand, right? Like you're branding your wedding with this monogram, font, colors, all that stuff. So if you want to go down that rabbit hole, that is a lot of fun. And on that topic, let's talk a little bit about making these signs. Like, how can you get signage and what are your options? So, of course, there are wonderful professionals in every area that will create, signage on acrylic or on wood or however you want it, on a mirror, maybe, right? But you can, if you're more of a DIY type, you can definitely create some of this stuff like in Canva and then go have it printed on heavy foam board or, on paper and then adhere it to something. But there's definitely just different ways to go about this and lots of options. So if you want to explore that, of course, there's Etsy shops that do signage too. If you're looking for something really unique, you can order off of there. But
some of you may be saying like, well, yeah, of course I would just have the signs made. But if you're going to have one that's going to eventually go on the mantle or over the garage or something that's like your last name or your date or something really cool that you can have there.
Yeah.
Or I've seen them where people have their monogram on whatever it is, a bench, the cornhole thing there, and people, that was their guest book. People signed on it. And you want something cheap there that's going to get broken the minute you put it in the car. So that's where you might want to have one sign that's nice and then a few other that you did yourself or whatever. Sure. But it can be a variety. But that's when I've seen some really very cool items that I'm like, ooh, that is going to look good on the mantle.
Absolutely. And so along those lines, something to consider, if you're designing it yourself or if you're discussing this with a professional, they'll probably say the same thing. You're going to want to look at the size and the font and the color, right?
And the stock.
Is it visible?
There's a lot, right?
Yes. Is it visible to your guests? Depending on what you're putting on there, you're going to want to make sure it's readable and it's visible in the color that it's in. Because this applies specifically to like your seating charts, right? Bigger is better, in my opinion. And that can be hard because if you've got 200 guests, that means a large piece of work. So you just want to make sure that it's not going to be, get out my reading glasses and go up really close to it and squint to find my name. So,
and when did they stop teaching cursive? I thought about that. Like the younger generations can't read cursive as well. It's a weird, isn't that a weird thing for those of us like
yeah,
whole life?
I think it's still readable. Because the fonts that are out there.
I think so too, but that's because we know what it looks like.
I don't know. I would be surprised if they couldn't read their name in
People
cursive.
Out there were thinking that. I guarantee it. How many of you were like, it can't be in cursive because.
Well, but cursive is the handwriting. So on signs, you would use different fonts, and some fonts look more.
There's absolutely the cursive-y looking font stuff.
Okay.
That was just a random thing that I'm like, oh, it can't be cursive.
Well, and some fonts are more readable than others. That's kind of what I was getting at, right? The other thing is I've seen some really creative seating charts where, for example, the guests have to go and like pick up the envelope and look inside to see where there's it's great in theory, but let's think about it logistically, right? If you've got 200 people looking for their envelope and then they have to open it up, what if they lose it? Like that's their, seat assignment. So just logistically.
Sometimes that's their food assignment too. If it's plated and they have a little chicken or a little cow or a little carrot, if you got a vegetarian in the crowd. But that's another thing you could do with all the signage stuff, which I think is really fun when they have a little seating chart with a little cow on it. Who are you calling a cow? No, it's not a cow.
Okay, we need
calling a chicken?
We need to back up because you're probably confusing people here. So what he's talking about is if you have a choice of menu, meaning you sent out invitations and you said, please select chicken, beef, vegetarian.
This would be for a plated meal or a served meal, not a buffet.
Correct. You would want to create name tags or cards that allow your catering staff to know who is getting what meal. And these usually go on the tables, meaning you figure out a seating chart and you put Susie Jenkins on table 1 at this seat and you put that there. But this also can coincide.
Susie's not coming anymore. I don't know if you got that.
Susie Jenkins isn't coming?
No, she's not coming.
Oh gosh, I got to move her spot then.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
It's a whole thing with the seating chart.
No, this is what happens when you plan the seating chart. But
usually there's a table, and if sometimes people come and pick it up, and you pick it up like, oh, there I am, and you take it with you, and then you don't have to necessarily say, I'm here, he's there, she's there. Yeah. It's just you're at table 7, and there's the right number of people with the right number of chairs.
It really depends. You want to talk to your caterer because some caterers request the seating chart beforehand so that they actually know. And so that may not be an option for everyone, depending on your caterer. So there are so many options when it comes to this. This is a whole other podcast.
It's a whole other podcast, but it's part of the signage thing. It's a sign with their name and their their meal
information.
choice.
Yeah.
And it's gonna, and then that has to be visible too, because as the caterers are coming around, they need to be able to see
Right.
the chicken or the carrot or the cow.
Okay, you don't have to use.
I like that.
Let me go down this path too. You don't have to put a cow or a chicken or a carrot on the name card.
The cow and the chicken, right?
You can say a gold stamp is for beef, and a red stamp is for chicken, and a green stamp is for vegetarian. So that it's a little more elegant.
A gold chicken is for chicken, and a red cow is for beef.
You could do that too, but. Again, these are just fun ideas, options.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do.
Well, let's talk about the seating chart itself then. I saw one recently. I did a TikTok on it. It was massive. It must have been 8 feet high and about 13 feet wide. It was the biggest one I've ever seen.
Really?
It was very impressive, but you got to haul that thing in and haul it back out. But I mean, it was amazing. Most people don't, that would obviously, it looked expensive. That's for sure. So we got to keep the budget in mind. On all things, the budget that comes into every play, including signage. But you do want it to be big enough. It has to be in a high visibility spot. Sometimes there's more than one. So after the ceremony, people come back, a good place in cocktail hour, everyone will see it next to the bar. And then when they go in the room, people either move it
or there's another
one there. Because people come in, they're like, I can sit wherever, right? And there's Uncle Charlie drops anchor at a table. And you're like, no,
there was instructions.
That's the sweetheart table. That's clearly not for you. Move.
That's the sweetheart table. That's funny. So something else that goes along with signage, and this is like my weird little like pet peeve sign, right? So you would think, let's fast forward a little bit to the reception. You would think walking into the reception, maybe to the left, there's a table with the cake on it, but it also has a tray of donuts. Okay. And you would think that people would say,
or snacks
or sweets, right? You would think people would say, oh, of course I can't eat that until after dinner.
You'd think that, wouldn't you?
That has not been my experience. Now, not every time, but people will, if there's like finger foods of any sort, especially sweets, and you have planned on those being served at dessert time, you need to put some signage up or keep them somewhere else. I mean, I'm not joking. They will take them. They will decimate
the worst one.
The donut wall.
The donuts. People, I don't know what it is. People cannot resist the damn donut. And the minute all it takes is one person to grab one, and then everybody else like, oh, we can get one. Yep. And then there it goes. And now your donut wall, nobody's gotten a picture of it yet. Your photographer's still outside during cocktail, and your donut wall is decimated already.
Yes. So
that's the dessert table too. Yeah, the dessert table. If there's brownies, cookies, a candy
anything
bar,
they can grab.
Oh yeah. If you want it to be opened at a certain time because you want the pictures, the cake's in the middle as the centerpiece of this table.
Sure.
You want the picture with the two of you cutting the cake with all the beauty of before it gets attacked, because it'll get messy really quick. You have to have a sign that says, please wait, talking to you, Uncle Charlie.
Yeah. Well, so again, the two options are either, especially if you're going to set it up really nice, it's really sometimes not an option to have it in the back and then bring it out later. So you have to set everything up beforehand, but then you put the sign out there that says, we will be enjoying dessert at 9 p.m. Okay. That's helpful, right?
Hands
People
off.
know, like, that's when we're going to open the dessert table.
Because again, but we have had that is one place we've had to have people. The bride has come out and been like, everyone, or the mom of somebody, everybody's attacked. Can you have your assistant stand there? And that has been something.
Security.
Yes.
I have dessert security
is standing there looking all tough, like, hey, and they just slap it out.
Mona's really good at it though. My assistant.
You don't mess with a Mona, that's for sure.
I hope Mona listens to this episode because she's amazing at it. She's just like, nobody's coming to get that donut past her.
They're like, I tried. See this bruise right here? Look at that. She's got a ring on it.
Yeah. So again, it's just these things that you may not think are going to be a big deal, but then you get 200 people in the room and there's, these parts of the night that
chaos ensues.
It's not necessarily chaos, but having direction for people is helpful. Now let's shift to the bar. So we're at the bar. Okay. Someone asked me about like, how do I reduce lines at the bar? I'm only able to have one bartender or something, I forget what the conversation was, but I said something that's helpful are bar signs. And here's the reason. The people in line can see the sign and they know what their options are going up to the bartender. So it's so much simpler than asking, is it an open bar?
There's a sign right there. Did you not see it?
Exactly. So if you have, maybe you're just serving beer and wine and you have a signature drink, then put that on the sign so that people know, hey, they go right up to the bartender. I want the signature drink. I want the red wine.
Have a whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a very useful thing that will help speed along your bar lines.
And you got to name the signature drink after your pet, right? I mean, I know
we're back to that.
But that's such a great way to bring in your
furry friends.
Your furry friends that either couldn't attend, or maybe that you had a ring dog or a flower dog that went down the aisle, and then somebody took him or her home, or you have a cat. Lord knows we're not bringing the cat to the event, right?
Might be a really friendly.
I'm sure
cat.
It's been out there. I'm sure it's been done. But yeah, if the two of you have a cat, or you have a cat or a dog that's special to you, bring it into the
oh my gosh,
signature drink. We got some very clever names.
Very clever, very cute. But what I had one bride do was and I can't believe she did this, honestly, because it's a lot of work. She had little pictures, like face of the dog, and she put them on all the straws, the bar straws. So when you got a straw, no, you weren't. When you got a straw, there was the little dog's face, like adhered to your straw.
It's pretty cute.
Right? That's a lot of time, though.
And just signs in general. Good gracious. There's so many different directions you can go. I mean, we had that one. It was like a 3D. It looked like a shadow box, sort of. And you run on the front. And there was like moss in the middle or something.
Yes.
And there were the bolts or something on the corners. And it was really legit, but it was heavy. It stayed upright. And I did a video on it. And I said, it's got that. I remember I said, it's got that green stuff. The word moss escaped me. And people were like, you mean moss? That was all the comments. And I go, yes, I know. I meant to come back and refilm that video, and I never got around to it. And my wife posted it, and I'm like, and now who's the buffoon? That's me, right?
No, you're not a buffoon. It's just, you're human. So, all these ideas and these little pieces of advice, I hope are helpful, and don't overwhelm yourself by thinking like, oh my God, I've got to get all the signs, right? But it's just something to maybe talk to your planner, your coordinator about, talk to your venue about, like we discussed. Are there signs available? The last point we're going to make is, anywhere that you're putting a sign, especially outside, make sure that it's going to stay where you put it. I know this sounds stupid. Again, like this is a silly topic, but it's not. Because if it's not heavy or not meant to stay where you're leaning it against and the wind comes, knock it down, right?
Oh, the tiniest bit of wind will catch something. And I've seen, and it breaks your heart, but something behind glass, like a picture of the bride that they had the big reveal, and it's in a frame, and it's on a really crappy, weak easel, because some of those easels, for those of you out there that have dealt with a bad easel, the things with the little things don't stay up, they flip down,
even worth
or it's not heavy, or it's too small for the weight or the size of the picture, and then it falls, and now you've got this shattered glass. Or a mirror. I've seen a lot of mirrors that just they don't transport well, and they don't stay up. If it's on the ground leaning up against something, that's fine, but it's got to be anchored. It's got to be out of the wind.
Yes.
Because that just breaks your heart when you spend all this money on this mirror or this frame, and it gets shattered because the wind caught it.
And that's another thing too.
Or nobody sees it because it just sat face down in the grass the whole time.
Right. That's another thing too. You want to consider, like, this goes for like even pictures or signs. Do you need a frame? Because I've had brides bring me a box of, hey, we're putting these pictures on the sign-in table. And I'm like, how? Like, they're just the photos, right? They don't have a back to them. So again, I'm not trying to say y'all are stupid and don't know this. This is just stuff we've experienced that we're sharing with you in hopes that, you can get ahead of it. The other thing is the iron easels work really well, like the heavy duty, and check with your venue, because a lot of them have them. They'll say,
the planner, he or she may have some.
Yeah. They may say, we have two, you can use them. We'll bring them out for you day of, but just ask those questions so that you know.
Yeah. Or if you already are renting some decor, that's something that a lot of the decor places or the rental places will have. And then last thing, we didn't even mention it, but it's like little signs, like you said, on the memorial table, on the sign-in table, on each table. You need a table number, table 13, table 19, table 5. Those are all part of the signage thing. And again, you need something to hold it up, like some kind of a stand or a little frame. That can be very cute. But it can't just be, if you print it out and chop it into pieces and just set it on there. You can do that, I guess, or just tape it.
It's really hard to see.
The flowers with some double-sided tape. Just kidding.
No.
What do you do? Like, if it's just there, if you're outside.
Yeah, you get creative, I guess.
If it gets windy, that stuff will be gone.
You listen to our podcast. That's what you do so that you don't have these issues.
Because we will guide you right down the road you need to go.
Well, that was fun. I hope, again, you didn't roll your eyes through at least most of what we were talking about and that you found a little tidbit in there that was helpful.
I still think I'm debating the buffoon thing. I think more oftentimes than not, buffoon is a good category that I would happily fall squarely in the middle of.
That you're a buffoon?
There's days.
Oh, I know.
I'm a bit of a goofball.
All right, guys. So I'm going to do a little recap here. Thank you again for following us on TikTok, on Instagram. You can watch these episodes on YouTube. If you're listening to it right now, like on Spotify or Apple Music, you can actually watch us talking on YouTube.
How exciting.
Exciting. You know, we have our website, theweddingduo.co, where we do virtual services. If you're interested, I wanted to mention this. If you're interested in have us actually go to your event, we travel, right? I'm throwing that out there. We actually do events still. Because someone asked me the other day, like, do you guys still DJ? Do you still plan events?
And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, you're actually at events? Like, yeah.
We actually do events. Now, of course, we're based in San Antonio, so that's easier for us to do San Antonio-based events. But if you're in Iowa and it works in the budget and we're available, we'll go to Iowa. So
in the summer.
Only in the summer.
I grew up in the Midwest. It gets cold there.
Yeah. So just all the stuff, right? We've got a lot of digital resources, our virtual planning. I think I already mentioned that. But we will end today's podcast the way we always do.
It's a very personal day. If you don't want signs, don't do a damn sign. You don't have to
have a free for all.
But it's just some things to consider. But as you're considering any part of your wedding, just remember it's your day. Don't let somebody talk you into something you don't want to do, including us, or talk you out of something you have your heart set on. It's your day. Put on the blinders with your significant other and just say, what do we want to do?
You do you. And we'll seal it with a kiss.
Exactly. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, so thanks for listening to our podcast. If you found any of this information helpful and you know someone who may be engaged or is a maid of honor, maybe you could tell them and share it with a friend.
Absolutely. So screenshot this episode, share it on Instagram, on Facebook, and tag The Wedding Duo. We promise to share the love back. Also, if you are interested in more resources or the show notes, you can go to theweddingduo.co. We have one-on-one virtual sessions, a shop, all sorts of fun stuff. Check it out.